Okay, if that's past practice, which I'll get into that in a minute, we specifically asked that these particular checks, and they have listed them here, not be paid. So at that time, if they'd already been paid, should not have somebody said that, so we wouldn't ask for this motion. And if we did ask for this motion and they hadn't been paid, we are supposed to be a governmental entity and have the power to say these can't be paid or not. And that our staff should follow what we in a meeting have voted upon.
Yes, ma'am, you're correct. These are some of the things that, as a board of directors, we are looking into and resetting our policies and procedures to see that everything is mandated in accordance to the way the board of directors. Yes, sir.
I didn't mean to interrupt you. Feel free to finish. With your permission, though, Frank, the procedure that you outlined, that the checks were sent out prior to the board voting, that's the way you've always done it, right?
It's been here 10 years.
Okay.
That's the practice that we've had for 10 years.
Is that operational guideline in writing, or is that just tradition, or is that oral history?
It's been in place since before I was here.
Is it in writing in place somewhere?
No, sir, it is not.
Okay. So, I mean, that may be part of the problem here.
Yes, sir.
And, you know, this board has a vested interest in paying its bills on time. Mr. McCready, as the executive director, at some point has to have some authority to get the bills paid. And so if we want to look at some operational guidelines somewhere on how we want to make that connection and give him that authority and then hold him accountable for such after the fact, that's fine. There's got to be lots of improvement district boards and other agencies that we can look at. But we have to pay our bills on time. He has to know what we expect of him. It's not fair to conduct a post-mortem after the fact. And so, I don't know what to tell you. We can look. There's no reason to reinvent the wheel. School districts do it in 1,040 districts, and there's other, you know, improvement districts out there. I think we can find one, but we've got to pay our bills, and we've got to give him, you know, the authority to conduct daily business until such time that we don't feel like, you know, we have that confidence. So let's get the bills paid. Let's move on. Let's clean it up if we want to put it in writing. But let's move on.
Ms. Adu?
Yes. I agree with that we should pay our regularly occurring bills that we've approved. What we had asked for, and I know we did this in the workshop, is that when we receive this cash flow report, we were saying this is very limited. What are these for? A lot of these are coded where I do not know what they're for, and I'm voting on what this is about. So I had asked, what is this memo code 6311 from the Chase Card Services? May we have an invoice? May we know what this is for before I vote on it? Because I know that I was told I have to learn what my job is. And I know that when we got this Open Meetings Act that the Attorney General gave us, and they said, you're a governmental body and you're supposed to follow procedures and rules, I'm trying to do that because I'm an elected official. I'm supposed to do my job right. So I'm worried about what I sign my name to, and I want to know what it is that I'm signing. And I'm not talking about the regular bills. I'm talking about other bills that are above and beyond insurance, you know, payroll, stuff like that.
So have you ever received a analysis of the coding? Do you
No.
have that?
Has anybody on the board received that?
That's your P&L page, Marlene. It has all the account numbers, and that's really all it is, time on the account numbers.
Okay, so it has the account numbers. So 6311 is for what I'm
Travel training for board
what I'm
members.
asking is that these are broad topics. travel and training for board, where, what, when, that's all I was asking.
Are you asking for a little more itemized description?
I've asked for that for 4 meetings,
Okay.
and that's what I keep harping on, is we need more information.
Well, if, in that case, if Ms. Webb has done, you're allowed to come up and take a look at the invoices if you like at any point in time to see what those specifics are for.
So my next question is, if our approval on these checks are not needed, why are we doing that? Justified. As in any major organization, periodically certain things have to be paid in advance, paid to prevent additional funding or fees. These are part of the things that we're looking at as a board to come across with the new policies and procedures. And once we have those established, even though we've been at this for a while, we're still trying to get everything down in black and white so that everyone should be able to be on the same page and you go in accordance. Okay? All right now we have a motion on the floor for the financial payments and investments, including invoices presented, taking any action connection therewith, including the payment of any invoices presented. We have a first by Vicki Tooman and a second by Mr. Yavera. Is there any further questions at this time? Yes, ma'am.
Where she was asking about those codes and you said that they're all listed, there are several that are reflected in disbursements and those numbers are not listed here. They're not listed here. But beyond that, I wanted to ask a question because, and if I'm not at the right time, please tell me and I will ask Corey these questions later. And when we got the July bookkeeper's report, they just, had a bunch of numbers for us. It was our first time. And we all signed signature cards and mailed it to the banks. When we got the August report, and I started comparing them, and there's huge discrepancies between the July and the August report, and even into September. And the reason I had asked you about the $100,000 CD is yesterday I went to the bank to pull some of these bank statements because they don't make sense. And I found out that I'm only on 3 accounts instead of the 5 that are there at Plain State Bank. That $100,000, I show it was deposited to the operating account September 7th. But as of yesterday, it had not been dispersed. But even more so than that, I have questions about where the CDs that matured on 8/1 that are on the July statement, on the July bookkeeper report, they're not carried over to August, they're not carried over to September, they don't appear to be renewed. I don't see a deposit for them, I don't see a transfer, and I'm curious to whether or not there are accounts that maybe the board members either don't have access to, don't know about, and quite frankly, who signs on the CDs? Because they just disappear. They're there in July and they're gone in September.
Okay, excuse me, Director. I think this might be going exceedingly to where we are on this particular agenda.
Okay.
I'd appreciate it if perhaps Corey, you and I, and maybe Mr. McCready have an opportunity to get together.
That would be great.
And we'll verify exactly what the status is on these things, if you don't mind. I appreciate that. Would that be acceptable?
Sure, yeah, we'll answer any of
Okay.
those questions.
Yeah, we need to verify any questions that are addressed. Okay? Are there any, yes, ma'am?
Yes. How are we going, how are we going to fix the deferring thing from last month? Are we going to add it to this approval to move to also approve the check